Hey dog lovers, welcome to Have Dog Will Travel. I'm Kristi Vaughn.
And I'm Josh Henry, and we are here at Wild Heaven Brewery in Decatur, Georgia. It's a lovely, lovely day, and we're sitting here with Miles Ganley. And Miles, tell us what you do here.
Thanks, guys. I'm the general manager of the Taproom here at Wild Heaven Taproom in Avondale.
Nice, and we should preface with, we're sitting out on the patio. It's a big, open, gorgeous area. Like I said, it's a beautiful day. But there's some things going on. You know, we're not in a studio. There's some birds. There's like a generator in the distance.
There's planes and trains and beer making going on.
Yeah.
Lots of beer making, so you'll probably hear some of that.
So apologies for all the ambient noise.
It adds to it, I think.
Yeah,
it's okay.
A little charm, a little realism, right? So again, Miles, thank you for having us, man. It's really cool to be here. I've been to this brewery a few times. Stella and I have come, and it's a really cool spot. Tell us, you are a dog owner?
I am, yes. I have two great dogs right now, my wife and I. We have a Beagle and an Australian Shepherd.
Nice. Did you grow up with dogs?
I did, yeah. I've always had golden retrievers growing up. We always had them in pairs, and it was great. Every time came home, it was always a dog.
Yeah.
It was, and they were always kind of like nanny layout. Like there's pictures of me and video of me being really tiny baby laying on a dog.
So dog loving is all you've ever known, like since you were little, always been a dog.
Pretty much.
And tell us more about your Beagle and Shepherd, the ages and all that.
Yes, Beagle we got when he was 6 weeks old. He is now 7 as of St. Patrick's Day, and he's my wife's first pet. About 35 pound Beagle. Loves adventure, everything to do with hiking. Not a very sedentary Beagle, which is, I guess, a little unusual for that breed. The Australian Shepherd we adopted / rescued when she was 10 months old, and now she's 3. And she is stereotypical of her breed for sure. Very, very active, does naughty things if we don't run her and exercise her enough. But yeah, they complement each other really well for how different those two dogs are.
Right. Yeah,
That's
bring some
awesome.
balance, I'm sure.
What's your favorite thing about dogs?
I love how attached they get to you. It's a dependency as well. As much as dogs are ours whenever we get them and they become part of our family, I love how much we become theirs as well once they become comfortable with us.
Well, and we say it all the time, but Stella's my little girl, my baby, and now, and ours now. But it's funny to kind of, to that point when I had Stella for about a year, maybe more before we met, and so she was my dog coming into the relationship, and now she's our dog, but she loves her daddy.
She does.
Don't get me wrong,
daddy's
she
girl.
loves her mama. But she loves her dad.
I think there's a little separation anxiety going on when you leave.
Yeah.
She loves me. She more than tolerates me. She does love me.
No, she definitely loves
But she misses you so much when you're gone. So she is definitely bonded. And it's funny how dogs bond to certain people in the family.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
So your dog's a male, female?
Yeah, Loki, it's the Beagle, male.
Nice.
Silver, the Australian Shepherd.
Silver, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Silver is a little tighter with you? Because they say that opposite genders bond better with dogs.
Yeah, I was going to say our dogs are the exact same.
Yeah.
Anytime my wife is home on the couch, the Beagle is completely just laying on her. He's a very affectionate, he's like emotional support dog without being trained, just completely attached. And vice versa with the Australian Shepherd. She'll sit on my lap and like snuggle up while I'm doing homework and stuff and never be away, has separation anxiety whenever I leave.
Yep.
So yeah, it does. I guess
they can really sense our emotions.
Yes.
They know when you're happy. They know when you're sad. They know when you need the support. They know when you're sick.
Yeah.
And they want to comfort you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
I had without going into the details, I had a minor surgery last week, and I was basically kind of bedridden for a couple of days, but we couldn't have Stella in the room because we was afraid she just helps herself onto the bed all the time. And the last thing I need is her 60-pound muscly ass stepping on me. And so we had to have her in the other room, and she was freaking out the whole time because she was just so uncomfortable because she knew something was going on. And she was so confused as to why she couldn't be in there. And it's frustrating because obviously you can't explain to her, like, this is the situation and I'm afraid you'll hurt me.
Yeah.
But
I think that we need that support too when we're sick, and we need that, like, I don't know, we need their comforting too as much as they need us. I think we need them as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Now you mentioned Silver likes to get into trouble. Do you have any favorite dog stories or funny, anecdotes about it, whatever?
Whenever we first got her, she wasn't necessarily house trained that well. Not of like going to the potty in the house or anything, but more so like being around things that she could destroy and figure out. And we kind of, since we had the Beagle, and actually before Silver, we had a Great Pyrenees.
Oh.
And that was kind of another push that we got. Silver was our Beagle, had always been around as second dog, and he passed away and started getting really bored.
Oh.
And then we found the opportunity to adopt Silver, and we did. She ate every single pair of flip-flops in the house, would jump up onto the dresser and get them. That was rough. Wife was a little hesitant about moving forward with Silver until she just tilted her head, flopped up like one ear and tilted.
Aww.
And I was like, oh, dang it. She's already in. She's
Yep.
in. She can do whatever she wants.
Did she any of the was it just flip flops or like any super fancy shoes? Any major losses for the wife?
I did have to repair a couple pairs of heels. My wife's.
Oh, boy.
She liked the wood and the hemp wrapping on some of
yeah.
her.
On the wedges.
On her wedges.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of try rewrapping them. Did a horrible job, but it was more of a oh, I'm
You
sorry.
tried.
Yeah.
You tried.
Oh,
That's what counts. You
yeah.
tried.
It was terrible.
You mentioned that before we actually started the podcast, you mentioned that you're very active with your dogs. So what's the best trip you've ever taken with your dogs?
Well, so we just moved to Atlanta from Boise, and whenever we moved, we decided to do a road trip. So we did about 4,000-mile, 15-day cross-country road trip going from Boise to the Oregon coast, and all the way down Highway 1.
Oh, wow.
Then
Oh my
to
gosh.
Havasu, the Grand Canyon, the Blue Hole in New Mexico, and just really going and seeing what we wanted to do. And we made it a goal to kind of camp as much as possible. So loaded up my wife's 2017 Kia Soul and just left and camped as much as possible,
Oh my
everywhere we
gosh.
could, met up with friends as we went. And of course we had the dogs with us. We had all of our other stuff in a pod, and it was already sitting in Georgia. So we were kind of great, we're living out of the car. This will be fun. And it was. Everywhere we went, we kind of had to adjust things that we wanted to do, or things that immediately came up in our head of hey, let's go do this thing. Oh wait, we have our dogs. And at first it was kind of oh man, this isn't going to be as fun as we thought. And then we started noticing how our mindsets kind of changed towards even early on in the trip.
Go ahead. No, sorry. There's a MARTA train going by. So
We mentioned planes and trains.
we all made a face. So, yeah. Sorry. Continue, please.
Just kind of picking, what restaurants we were going to go to, looking up, trying to find different apps of what we could do to try to figure out if a place is dog friendly or not. What beaches do we go to? And it was cool. It was always had, the whole family together everywhere we went, and we knew it was okay. We knew what to look out for. Was it too hot that day? What do we do? Which there were a few times, in Havasu in the Grand Canyon, where it was 120 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was really tough.
What did you do in that situation? What are some tips you have for being in that situation where you're on a road trip and something like that happens, where it's hot, but you still want to see things and do things?
Well, we ended up carrying the dogs a lot. It's on asphalt in 120
Oh,
degrees.
boy.
It was very, very excruciating to the touch.
Oof.
Which is exactly what you want. I mean, it just it's miserable for you too. So then adding another 30 to 50 pounds of weight, to to your walk?
It was a lot of like anytime we went into a place, like we had to go buy supplies or other food, it was like leaving the car on with the spare key in it. We take the other key, lock it,
I've
put
done that
AC
before.
like blasting, so that way the dogs are, I mean, they're the most comfortable
Absolutely.
things
That's
in the
important.
entire state. Taking them to the bathroom in excruciating temperatures was tough. It was always like find a tree, find a building that looks like it's been like there's been a shadow there for a while that's like cool enough to the touch, and letting them go. Threw them in Lake Havasu a couple times,
Sure.
which we tossed them in first, not knowing, well, this is probably bad. But yeah, we tossed them in first, like, oh, it's a lake, it'll cool them down. And like we got in and the water temperature was like 95.
Oh, no.
So it was like
man.
not.
I thought you were going to say it was freezing.
No, I wish. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was like 120 out. Get inside, it's like 95. There's no relief at all.
Yeah, because it's a lake too, so that water's not stagnant, but there's not a lot of flow, like it sits
Oh,
there,
yeah, at
so
all.
it
Yeah.
just heats and,
Yep.
and that kind of.
But it's still
constant
water,
bombardment.
so I feel like it would help cool them a little bit maybe when they got out. Or no?
Maybe
They
the
still
beagle,
hot?
but the Australian Shepherd, she has like the nice undercoat as
Yeah,
well.
that's
It probably
true.
just broke through that and got her even more warm.
Oh.
We did meet up with friends though and got on a boat. So you toss them in the water, then you get up, and then you get the wind and everything else going, and then they're totally fine. The beagle did not love being on a boat. That was
No?
first like powered boat
Oh, boy.
experience. So beagle baying was like happening all the way through Lake Havasu, like this weird train horn. Everybody was like looking around, freaking out.
That's awesome.
The Australian Shepherd tried like hiding under any chair or anything that could possibly happen. It was a fun experience.
I was going to say, it's just, an adventure. Stella's been on a boat recently, and she actually loved it.
Oh, she loved it.
She
yeah.
really did. We have a
Taking
video
it all in.
of the wind flapping through her ears. Her ears are just standing up straight. It's the cutest thing ever. And she loved it. She loved smelling the fish and looking at the birds.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it was
everything.
a new experience for her.
Some friends of ours have it. It's actually our second episode of the podcast. Some friends of ours have a charter company called Wild Coast Charters in, where are they? Crystal River, Florida. And so, yeah, they took us out on the pontoon and like sunset cruise, and it was really awesome. But that trip you described, it sounds so amazing. It's fun. Like, that's literally what we want to make a career out of, ultimately, is just doing that. So if anyone who knows anyone at the Travel Channel is listening, no.
That's our dream.
Yeah, that's the
and we
dream,
want to
is
help
it?
others do what you did.
Yeah.
Because it's not a true family experience. If you treat your dogs like family, it's not an actual family experience unless you have your dogs with you. And
Right.
so you want to be able to bring them with you and not have to worry about, oh no, are we going to have a good time because we have our dogs with us? You just want to be confident. And that's what we want to do with our listeners, is help them become confident and give them some tips and tricks for traveling with your dog.
Yeah, and I got to throw a plug in here for a friend of ours who was another episode that we did. Have you heard of an app called Puppy Pals? You mentioned apps about checking for dog friendliness.
I don't think I have.
There's an app called Puppy Pals, and I think right now it's still Atlanta specific, but it's Atlanta places that are dog friendly. It's sort of like
Makes sense.
an app
Okay.
version of what we do. Although she was first, so I guess we're a podcast version of what she does.
I believe you guys are on her app too. Wild Heaven's on her app as a dog-friendly location.
Yay, go us.
Yeah. So she will, like, you just put in or it finds you at your location, and it'll tell you all the dog-friendly places near you. So if you want to go have lunch, or if you want to go have a drink, it'll find wherever is near you. It's
Awesome.
dog-friendly, and they have like verified locations. And yeah, so she's a good friend of ours, and she's doing cool things.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to do like the podcast version of her app.
Well, I
How-
guarantee one more download right after this podcast.
Good.
Nice.
Yay.
How long have you been in Georgia from Boise?
8 months.
8 months. How are you finding it so far?
Love it here.
Yeah?
There's a neighborhood for everybody. There's
True.
so many parks. Wife and I don't really love just going to the same park or the same trail every day. So we love just kind of bouncing around, seeing bad ones, great ones.
Do you have a
and
favorite?
I mean, Piedmont Dog Park's probably like our biggest just go-to when we want to bring the dogs, let them off a leash, just run around like crazy. But we love hiking a lot. So anywhere, and I want to say anywhere with hills. It's really just the whole state is just perfect for what we love.
What's the place that we've been to a couple times that I like so much? that's got the wooden walkway?
Oh, Mason Mill. It's South Peachtree Creek Park.
Have you heard of that?
Mason Mill Park.
It's not a hard. I mean, it's super easy. Like most of it's an actual.
It's
wooden,
not very long, but it's beautiful.
Like trail. Yeah, but it's just a really beautiful, cool place. And I actually have a list of top dog parks in the Atlanta area, and I'll give that to you. But yeah, Mason Mill is a really cool spot.
Have you been to Whitewater? Over in Cobb County, Whitewater.
That sounds familiar.
That's a cool place too. It's right along the river.
Oh, is that like just northwest, like right against the perimeter? Kind of up there.
It's part of like a larger trail, I believe, but Whitewater is the one with the bamboo forest.
Yes, we have been there.
Okay.
Yes,
that's
that
a
was
cool
really
one.
cool.
There's lots of dogs. Every weekend, if you go there, there's tons of dogs and people.
We noticed that.
Yeah,
and that's what we really like doing. We tend to get off trail more so than not. 'Cause, again, our beagle is a major hiker. He will avoid a trail and like hop up rocks and climb on like fallen trees. He'll cross rivers on fallen trees.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think it's just a bravery thing. I think it's just more of a
curiosity.
Curiosity
to check it
might
out.
kill that dog.
Now, if you could go anywhere in the world with your dogs, where would you go and why?
I would love to bring Silver, my Australian Shepherd, to Kilimanjaro with me. I'm training for it right now to go in August.
No shit,
oh
that's
my
awesome.
Gosh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Saving money raising money for a nonprofit for bleeding disorder patients in developing countries.
Wow.
And get to go, so obviously I'm training a lot for that, and the dogs are very much so encouraging me to do a lot more like cross country and hiking.
Yep.
I've gone up like Stone Mountain a lot now, but obviously you can't do like the walk-up trail, and my wife and I can't do anything and not feel guilty about not bringing the dogs with us, so it kind of changes what activities and where we go.
I can tell you, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we live in that area. There's a lot more to Stone Mountain than that walk-up trail.
Oh yeah, we've done a lot of the other little routes, and we've done like the circumference and stuff like that. It's just getting elevation increase and adding weight and stuff. That's pretty much the closest thing I can get out here to direct training for that.
Sure.
I think my dogs would actually do great. We accidentally took them to Amicalola Falls.
Oh, yeah.
And they, not knowing, that was like our first trip. We're like, oh, hey, cool, really big waterfall. There's a couple steps, no big deal.
Oh, boy.
Not knowing they were like the corrugated metal steps. And the dogs did great. We actually walked up the wrong way, like the backside, up some old like irrigation shepherd's trail that was like totally ungroomed. We thought that was like the main thing. We loved it. And then we went down the steps. That went very slow. The dogs didn't love it, but
they sound like true athletes, though.
You just put up with their shit.
My dogs would not.
Other than...
My dogs wouldn't put up with it. They'd put on the brakes.
Two of them are Frenchies.
Well, they'd be like, "You're gonna carry my ass." That's what they would do.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I don't push them because I don't want to end up carrying them because one of them's 30 pounds of muscle and a little bit of fat.
Now,
maybe a lot of fat.
Obviously, I know where Mount Kilimanjaro is, but some of our listeners might not. So where is that?
Oh, yeah. So it's the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, located in Tanzania.
Uh-huh.
So Eastern Africa.
Okay.
And when are you going?
In August.
Wow.
Oh. And is like weather-wise, is it similar to here? Like, is it going to be incredibly hot?
Yeah, so it does. I wouldn't say the temperature gets as crazy there. It's definitely not as humid there as it is here. However, you're going up in elevation, it starts going to get drier. It's going to get a lot more tundra-like. It's not a temperate rainforest anymore like how you start the trip. It gets up to 19,300 feet.
Wow.
It's going to be roughly like negative 20 degrees at some points in the trip. It's a much different world than whenever you start.
You're going from one extreme to the next then, basically. Like two completely different kind of environments.
Right, which kind of sets Kilimanjaro apart from other mountains. Other mountains, obviously, they're in a mountain range. You're already starting a little bit higher. This is, I mean, the Serengeti is right there. I mean, the crater is all right there where people do safaris, and you could look up and you see like this really random big-ass hill that has snow at the top of it in the middle of nowhere, and that's Kilimanjaro. There's no mountains. There's nothing nearby, just this really big hill.
And so what do you do to train for that kind of thing? I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of layers involved, and, do you have one of those breathing masks?
I mean, the biggest and best way to do it is by, doing the same activity as much as possible, which is hiking. There's not a whole lot of technical climbing. There's no ice axes or anything like that involved with Kilimanjaro. So it's just a lot of moving, which is nice because, we like to involve our dogs in going out as much as possible. So we really try to go anywhere that they can. Any hiking trails, which luckily Georgia is an incredible area for that. So we just try to hike as much as possible. I will go before work to do like Stone Mountain and do the summit as more of a, elevation, get some weight on my back, load up my pack as much as I can, and just climb and go for as long as I can. But other than that, it's just, instead of taking the dogs for a walk, we take them on a hike. Get them involved in it too. It helps us go for a longer period of time. We pretty much go whenever the dogs are tapping out, which surprisingly, Loki the Beagle goes much longer than Silver.
Really?
Shepherd. Yeah.
Wow.
She's more of a sprinter, so she will get out of her energy quickly, but then she'll lay down for about 30 seconds, and then she'll get up and run again, just like they would whenever they're herding cattle. Loki, oh man, there's this weird
endurance guy.
Bloodhound switch that happens in his head, and if we take him off the leash in a jungle, he'll book it. He'll just blank out, run, and he's baying the whole time like he's on a trail. Like you've seen in any movie ever with like a hound dog, he's doing that, and it's great. So we try to go more, outskirts where we could maybe get away with letting him off the leash, not condoning that.
But
they're good. They
nice.
come back and they are controllable, yes, but it is nice when we can just let them go and they do their instinctual thing and they go nuts. We tried that in the Redwood Forest, and pretty sure they both ate and rolled around in some bear poop, which
lovely.
made that the rest of that 3-hour drive that day amazing. We stopped at a gas station, loaded up on peanut butter, and we got toothpaste and random stuff and tried to make him eat it. Didn't get better.
That sounds like an amazing trip. You have to get specific gear for Silver, like hoodies and layers or anything for that kind of extreme cold at the top and things of that nature?
Well, I would. I'm not taking her to Kilimanjaro. I would love to take her to Kilimanjaro.
I completely misunderstood that whole time. I thought,
yeah, no.
So
that would
you're
be
training with her, but
training
she doesn't get to go
correct.
with you.
Yeah, that would be my
I'm so stupid. Okay.
No, that sounds like an amazing training partner, but I don't know if
it is. Yeah, and I have
be
a
able
very
to take her.
Right.
I mean, maybe.
It's a lot. I mean, getting up to 19,000 feet, people already have a big enough issue with altitude sickness.
That would
I don't
probably
know how,
be hard on them.
Yeah. As great as it would be to cuddle up with her and shove her down in my suitcase and snuggle up, because she's basically just a big fluff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the company, of course.
Right. Yeah.
That sounds like a whole different episode. Like what to do to prepare your dog
for an extreme
adventure like that. That sounds like a whole different episode. Maybe we could bring you back for that.
Okay. Yeah, it's cool. It's a big family ordeal. My wife tries to go hiking with me every time we go out.
Great.
We always make it just great, this is what we're doing.
Aww.
So really she's training with me. She does kickboxing 3 to 4 times a week.
Wow.
I rock climb whenever I'm not hiking. I would say we're pretty active people anyway.
Say you're above average active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty active. Yeah.
Which she has type 1 diabetes and MS, and I have severe hemophilia. And so we have medical conditions that tell us, no, we shouldn't be doing this.
But you still do it.
Yeah, and we're
no
better.
excuses, folks.
Yeah,
no excuses.
Right.
You're making me feel really bad about my fitness level.
That's not the point.
My general laziness.
I'm going to step it up. I'm going to step it up a bit after this. Okay.
Don't worry. We forget to do the dishes.
You're not making anyone feel bad.
No, we're feeling bad about it.
Bad on
ourselves,
our own about our general
you're an inspiration. You're amazing.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Miles, tell us about Wild Heaven and what your role is here.
So my role is pretty much keep all the taps flowing whenever you come in. So as far as hiring people, staffing, ordering the kegs, I am the guy in charge of kind of picking what beer will be on tap whenever you come in. understanding the schedules of what's going on, as well as in charge of getting all and any like food trucks and music and any other events that we have going on, similar to our like Pups and Pints events. That's the third Thursday every other month.
What is Pups and Pints?
We need to know about this.
Yeah, so we get a partner with PAWs and the release program of Atlanta, to where we give a benefit to them of 25% of all draft beer sales gets donated back to them. And so this month, oh my gosh, I almost forgot it again. I believe it's April 18th, and then the next one will be June 20th.
Okay.
Just bring your dog, bring a leash, drink some beer. There are a lot of like
and the more
shops.
beer you drink, the more Paul's benefits.
That's right.
Did you hear that, people? Drink more beer,
and
help more
delicious
dogs.
Beer.
Yeah, they have a lot of like shops and stuff come out as well. Just kind of set up booths, and just it's fun. It's just a bunch of people that love dogs, support dogs one way or the other, with leashes, with food, treats, snacks, any other shop, and a lot of beer. We got you on the beer.
Nice. Yeah. So I know you're relatively new to Wild Heaven, but can you speak a bit about the culture here and why this is a dog friendly place? Why, I mean, well, beyond dog friendly when you have events like Pints and Paws, but why you know it's important to you guys for people to be able to bring their pets and enjoy this experience with them.
Yeah, we really try to make this space, the patio, the tap room here, as comfortable as possible and just open and welcome to as many different walks of life that there is. And with that, a lot of people get the most comfortable when they know that they can involve their dog in their outings as well. They can go out and enjoy something and know that they can bring their dog and just hang out. The dog can chill, walk around, like be just as much present as you are when you're drinking beer and hanging out. And there's going to be a lot of friends. You could talk to people. They could talk to little doggy people, and it's just fun.
And do you know if the owners of Wild Heaven, are they dog owners and dog owners?
Yeah, so Eric, our brewmaster and co-owner, he has a dog, Slip. He's here all the time.
Awesome.
Just running around playing, kind of shop dog, I guess. Yeah. Definitely gets involved in everything.
That's awesome. This is the first brewery I ever brought Stella. Before, now we take her all over the place, but this was one of the first places I took her that was a big public area, and certainly the first brewery.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure this is the first one, too, that I brought my dogs. And if any, like, local regulars are listening, too, I'm sure some of you have met Silver and Loki at some point.
They're celebra dogs, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And athletes.
And athletes. They're not Insta famous, but they have done some modelings, and they have won some Halloween costume contests, and it's been fun.
Tell us more. Costume contest?
Yeah. So for the Halloween Pups and Pints event, they did a costume contest, and my wife dressed up Loki the Beagle as Harry Potter, and I dressed up Silver as Old Greg.
So I need to see photos of those.
Oh yeah, I can get those out too. Yeah.
So when we're done,
green tights, cut a little hole for the nub.
Oh my
Did
goodness.
most people
Silver
get the
tutu.
Old Greg reference?
No, which I think made
It's
it
a bit
even better. Like
That's
even had like the
okay.
seaweed like wig and everything
that's
that
amazing.
took like the most time to kind of like strap that on to stay.
That's commitment.
So yeah, most people were like, oh, that's, she's cute.
Whatever that is.
Seaweed dog, mermaid dog.
I mean, at that
she's a
point, like,
Green tights and a
mermaid.
pink tutu.
when dogs are dressed up, does it really matter what they are? I don't think it does.
No.
As long as they're wearing something,
Yeah,
I think
they're
it's
still
adorable.
cute, whatever it is. So, Pups and Pints every other third Thursday, right?
Correct.
Okay, so April 18th and then June 20th.
Yes.
And then August something.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that far.
But you won't
man.
be here for that one because you'll be in Kilimanjaro.
I might be back. Yeah, I'm going
Okay.
really early August. I should be back like the 13th.
So there'll be a leaner version of you here for...
Yes.
I'm not calling you fat. I'm just saying...
No, that's fair.
You're already
no, that's
super
fair.
lean.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there'll be a leaner, even fitter version of you here for that
Much
one.
more tired version of me
And we
here,
can't
for
wait to
sure.
hear all about it.
Cool.
So what should people know before they bring their dogs to Wild Heaven?
Yeah, we really like to keep the kind of mellow, chill vibe here. And if you have a dog like me that's just wants to play and is very hyperactive, it might be a great idea to make this kind of the after play spot. So, go for that run, go for a jog, take the dog on a walk, go to the dog park, just have your day, and then come here. Hang out. Dogs will just love sitting on the patio underneath the bench, hanging out while you drink some beer.
Stella's growling at something. I don't think she likes Marta very much.
No.
You'd be surprised. There are squirrels and other little wildlife animals in this.
She's just grumbling about something.
It's kind of a fun thing about Atlanta is that there's usually squirrels and wildlife
everywhere,
all over the city. I mean, even not, I don't know about downtown, but like Piedmont is one of the largest green spaces in a city outside of, I think, Central Park in America. That could be completely false, but I'm pretty sure I heard that. I think.
Well, I've seen deer on the side of
I've
85
multiple times.
So.
Yeah, there have been deer at our park near our place in Norcross.
Generally speaking, Atlanta is a very green in terms of trees and grass, shrubbery kind of city. So.
And it's funny 'cause living in Boise, which is the city of trees, that's its tagline name. Mainly because if you go above it and you look down, you can't actually see almost any of the city or building. But you go up on Stone Mountain, and the only things that you're seeing here are the skyline of Atlanta and then Buckhead. You don't see any houses, and you drive through it, and it's all just hills and forests and woods everywhere, and it's so cool.
So true. All right, let's talk about beer for a minute. Tell us about the delicious beer we're drinking, and do you guys have a signature beer?
Ooh, all right. Well, I'm currently drinking, actually it just got finished, our Citrus Emergency, which is our winter blend of our emergency drinking beer. It's ruby red grapefruit, white grapefruit, and lime.
Ooh.
It is kind of the finisher right now. We're getting ready to be kegging and distributing Tropical.
Ooh.
Which will be coming out and getting featured at pretty much all Taco Macs in the area on April 7th.
So Tropical emergency drinking beer?
Correct.
Nice.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
The emergency drinking beer in general is probably, would you say that's kind of your signature drink, or at least your most well-known?
For sure. Yeah, whether it's just a can that people like to buy it and just keep it in the refrigerator and be like, check it out, I have emergency drinking beer when I have it.
It is pretty catchy.
It was the beer that put Wild Heaven on my radar of places to look up and actually apply. And that's kind of how I got the job. I went to one of the after-hour events at the Natural Science Museum.
Okay. Fernbank.
Yes.
Yeah.
And had it there, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And I could have a lot of them and not get messed up. This is amazing.
So that was your strategy.
And sure enough, it led me to looking the place up, and that's how
awesome.
I'm here.
Tell us about this wild ale that I feel so honored to be drinking right now, because apparently it's really special and isn't made but a couple of years.
Yeah. So
right?
you gotta have a bottle of our Laissez-Fraise, and it's just a strawberry and mint wild ale.
It's delicious.
Just naturally fermented with Brett yeast. It takes a long time since we aren't adding anything else to it. We let all yeast kind of come into play with the beer and all the flavors of it anyway, which keeps it from being really overwhelmingly tart or sour, anything like that. It just flows. It lets all the flavors kind of get to know each other and hang out.
And that takes time.
And where does the term wild ale come from? Like, what is that? Because you never hear that in terms of general beer speak. People talk about as far as styles. People talk about sours and IPAs and all these things.
So wild ale, it's also called a barnyard yeast. It's pretty much just a really naturally present yeast profile that is cultured and grown and then added to beer. So it's actually a lot of yeast that you would find, just like the name says, around barns, around other trees, on natural fruit trees and plants. And we just culture that. It's becoming a bigger thing to be putting it into beer. It changes the beer profile. It adds a natural tartness to it, but it doesn't overwhelm any other flavors, and it's really fun to kind of make blends of natural beer styles like a Goza or anything like that. You can add fruits to it, add some Brett yeast, age a little bit, and it'll completely change the complexity. So if you come into the tap room, you'll notice a lot of barrels on our walls and just around the entire building. And those typically are beer that we'll have maybe some excess of, but maybe we just kind of want to play around with it. We'll put them in barrels. We'll add some fruits or something like that into it and some bread or lacto yeast and just let it sit. Don't touch it. Some of them have been in there for like 4 years.
Wow.
And whenever we just kind of want to make a fun beer, or Eric just gets really curious about trying out something new, he'll just grab some of it, blend it with another beer, and ta-da.
That sounds insanely fun.
It does. It sounds like a great job.
I've been, even when I was younger, growing up in a very rednecky North Georgia where people only drink whatever domestic light and that kind of stuff, I think my first real introduction to not necessarily craft beers, but something other than that was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, right?
Yeah.
And which I loved. And so I became a beer snob at a fairly early age. So this craft beer revolution that we're seeing right now in America is, it's got me in heaven. And so
in wild heaven.
In wild heaven. I see what you did there. But yeah, so the idea of just being in a space where I could let's try this, let's tweak it this way, let's do this and add this to that sounds so exciting and fun. And
you got a much gentler introduction to craft beer than I did. I was like 8, and my brother handed me a bottle of Stone's Arrogant Bastard Ale.
Oh,
yeah, and he was like, "Hey, try this." That was my introduction to it. So I hated it for the longest time. And then I think Sierra Nevada was one of those. I was like, "Oh, this is an awesome go-to." And we actually make our own version of a pale ale. It's our ATL Easy Ale that is getting canned for the first time, like right now as we speak.
Right
no
now?
joke.
Yeah. So you used to only be able to get it here in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and now we're canning it. So coming soon.
Wow.
I don't know when this is coming out. It might already be out.
Soonish.
But yeah, you can get your favorite Mercedes-Benz Stadium beer to go.
What kind of beer is the Easy Ale? What is it?
So it is a lightly hopped pale ale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it'd be similar. It's great introduction beer to craft styles, IPAs. It's going to be really easy drinking, light, crisp. It's going to have nice hop notes to it, not very bitter. It's great.
So a lower ABV, like a session kind of style?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very sessionable. Go ahead, buy that
Free
six-pack,
lightweights
enjoy
out
that
there.
six-pack. Yeah.
Well, it depends.
Like me.
Sessions can serve a couple purposes. If you want to have a beer and not feel it too much, a session's actually it's still the same purpose. I was gonna say, if you want to drink all day, session's the way to go.
Oh, it's the day drinking beer for sure. It's not like heavy. It's not going to fill you up. It's
like a lot of IPAs, you get that like that taste and almost film on your tongue after like 6 of them, and you're like, okay, I've had enough. Well, for us professionals.
Yeah.
Professional drinkers.
Right.
Okay.
This is like go ahead, take a couple 6-packs with you and the guys golfing, which takes like 5 hours, and you'll still be.
Right. You can drive home without, maybe.
And your score might not just
We're not condoning
drop immediately at like hole 3 because you've already chugged a beer.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Right. I need to introduce this to my brother-in-law Eddie. He's he's also from North Georgia, and he's a total Bud Light kind of guy, and he thinks the kind of beers that I drink are just insane and gross. And so I need to introduce him to this and push him toward that
we'll
more
make a
refined,
believer out of him.
that more refined palate of beer drinking.
Yeah, this was the first craft beer that my dad had. I shipped some back to him, and that he actually enjoyed. And he said that he would drink this and order this, and he is Miller Lite, High Life, Bud Light.
Right.
Hear that, Eddie?
Yeah.
Do you hear it?
Which brings me to my next point. I am drinking the Ode to Mercy, which is what I think of when I think of Wild Heaven. That's kind of that's what I associate as the signature beer of Wild Heaven, because it's more of it's a pretty unique kind of style. I guess it's a porter.
No, brown ale.
It's a brown ale. Okay,
yeah.
But it's very coffee heavy.
Yes.
Right, and it's 7.1% ABV.
0.2. Yep.
0.2. Nice. All right. Yeah. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, but this is not a beer you would take to the golf course because you would be schnockered by a hole 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a nice. Some people say like a nice cigar beer. It's just something like cool. Get it in. It's really fun in like casks and stuff like that. It's surprisingly light for what it is. The nitro really helps with that and make it taste creamy. Already, it's another beer that we'll do different styles of as well. So in winter, and we still have it on tap right now, it's our special winter. It's our Ode to Mercy non-nitro with bourbon soaked oak chips added to it.
Wow.
With cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg.
Ooh.
Just
sounds
aged. So it's
fancy.
just a really fun take on it that is, like, in my opinion, one of the favorite beers that we make in general. That's kind of the same thing. It's just a nice, light, it's like 8% alcohol, so it does go up a little bit more.
Wow.
And yeah, it'll start a
You wanna
party and
cuddle
end
up
a party.
next to a fire and sip on that.
It is fun to take camping. It's a perfect, like, camping beer. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Well, April 18th and then June 20th, we need to be here for that for
Absolutely.
Pups and Pints. Did I get it right this
Yeah,
time?
you nailed
You
it.
got
I
it
screwed
right.
it up earlier. We'll be here for that. Anything else you want to tell us about? Anything else exciting coming down the pipe?
Yeah, so we are opening up our second location.
Ooh,
I don't know if
okay.
I plugged this earlier.
No, tell me more.
Yeah, so we're opening up our second location in the West End, the Lee White Complex.
Okay. That's over there by, that's West Midtown?
Southwest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marietta Street, kind of? Howell Mill?
Border, we're going to be connected
Ish.
to, we're right next door to ASW, and there's going to be, right next to Monday Night Garage.
Okay.
We're going to be the
okay.
Oh,
new,
down there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that area. When is that opening?
good question. They're as
To be
Nick the
determined.
owner likes to put it, there are a lot of uncontrollables.
Sure.
When it comes to opening up a place, and we want to make sure that whenever we say that opening date, we can really stick to it.
But it's coming soon.
It is very soon. Like, yeah, very soon. We're all getting a little excited, a little nervous about opening, but yes, it will be very soon.
Nice.
Tell us where we can find Wild Heaven on social media.
Yeah, so if you look up on Instagram, it's at Beer Wild Heaven. You can look us up on Facebook. At the same time, that's where you'll find all events and food and music and all the good stuff going on at the Taproom, as well as the new place, too, whenever that opens. We post everything on there.
Awesome. Miles, it's been a friggin' pleasure, and thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This has been great.
Sweet.
Yeah, so Wild Heaven Brewery. Earlier I said Decatur, but actually we're technically in Avondale Estates, right?
Yeah, it's strange. Depending on which map app you use, the address will say Decatur or Avondale. It'll bring you to the same place.
Okay.
Just Google them.
So
You'll find
Decatur
them.
or Avondale Estates. You
Yeah.
can't go wrong.
We'll be linking to them so you won't be able to miss them.
Yeah, come check out Wild Heaven Brewery and bring your pup and enjoy some delicious beer and have a great time.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Miles. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And remember, if you'd like to take your dog on a trip, but you're worried it might all unravel,
Just listen to us. Have Dog Will Travel.